HUD VASH Voucher Program Briefing for the Reno Housing Authority. Welcome and congratulations on being referred for your voucher. This briefing is an important first step in securing your housing assistance. This briefing will include a voucher program overview, family, owner, and RHA responsibilities, RHA's jurisdiction and areas to rent, advantages of living in specific areas, an explanation of portability, and information on reasonable accommodations. There are a lot of acronyms used in housing assistance. Here are some we think you should know. HAP, or Housing Assistance Payment, the portion of the rent RHA is responsible for paying to the landlord. HCV, or Housing Choice Voucher, the most common of the many voucher programs offered, formerly known as Section 8. HQS, or Housing Quality Standards. These are HUD standards for the condition of assisted housing. HUD, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the federal department over our voucher programs. NSPIRE, or National Standards for the Physical Inspection of Real Estate, the inspection protocols used by RHA to conduct the HQS inspections. PHA, or Public Housing Authority. This is the generic term for housing authorities. RFTA, sometimes pronounced RAFTA, or Request for Tenancy Approval, the document completed by a landlord and tenant to request housing assistance at a unit. RHA, Reno Housing Authority, and VASH, or Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing, a partnership between HUD and the VA to provide permanent supportive housing for veterans. The VASH program generally follows the rules of the HCV program, with some exceptions. The Reno Housing Authority's Rental Assistance Department oversees all our voucher programs. The Rental Assistance Department has many employees. Here are their roles. Housing Specialist. This is your caseworker. They respond to calls and emails, rotate walk-in days, process changes to your income and regular recertifications, and maintain your file. Leasing Agent. Issues transfer vouchers, processes RFTAs, checks for reasonableness and affordability of prospective units, and prepares HAP contracts. General Office Clerk. Serves as our receptionist, receives and logs incoming mail, and sends out recertification and verification paperwork. Inspections Clerk. Schedules move-in, regular or biennial, and special inspections, and provides the results. Notifies landlords when you are approved to sign a lease. Inspector. Visits the unit to ensure HUD standards have been met following the NSPIRE inspection protocol. Landlord Liaison. The primary point of contact for landlords regarding questions and concerns. Rental Assistance Administrator. Oversees Rental Assistance Department staff, conducts file reviews for terminations and when requested by you, and ensures the department runs smoothly by managing day-to-day operations. And Director of Rental Assistance. Oversees the entire department, developing new programs and ensuring policies follow federal regulations. If you have questions regarding your assistance, we're here to help you. You can email us. Send any questions to section8@renoha.org for response within 1 to 2 business days. Give us a call at 775-329-3630, option 5. You'll leave a message with your name, Social Security number, and a detailed question. We'll return your call within 1 to 2 business days. Please note that due to call volume, we are unable to answer calls live. Come see us as a walk-in. Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. you can walk into our office with no appointment needed. You will see the on-duty housing specialist. Schedule an appointment with us. If you are unable to visit during our walk-in day due to scheduling conflicts, you can call to request an appointment with your housing specialist on a day and time that works for you, within our operating hours. And finally, you can reach out to your VA case manager for assistance and support. The Reno Housing Authority is an MTW or Moving to Work agency. In 2013, HUD gave RHA the MTW designation due to our high-performing status. Being an MTW agency means we have the unique opportunity to slightly change some of the rules or requirements of the HCV program compared to other housing authorities, with HUD permission, of course. Some of these slight changes may impact the timeline of your recertification, your medical deductions, utility allowances, and conducting inspections every other year. Now let's get into an overview of the HUD VASH program. The voucher program involves three main parties: you, the housing authority, and your landlord. Each pair is governed by their own contract. Between you and the housing authority, that's your voucher. Between you and your landlord, that's the lease. And between the housing authority and your landlord, that's the HAP contract. No contract involves all three parties. This means that the housing authority can't evict you for violations of your lease, and you can't terminate our HAP contract with the landlord. However, your voucher obligations include things like not violating your lease. So if you violate your lease, which may result in the landlord evicting you, it may also result in you losing your housing assistance due to not abiding by your voucher obligations. So how does the voucher program work? Once your voucher has been issued, it is your responsibility to work with your VA case manager to find a unit that meets your household's needs. RHA will inspect the unit to ensure it meets HUD standards. RHA will determine that the rent is reasonable based on the market and affordable based on your income and budget. RHA will determine the HAP and your portion of the rent. These amounts may change during your tenancy depending on reported changes to your household. You enter a lease with the landlord. RHA enters a HAP contract with the landlord. If you are responsible for utilities, you need to set up service and pay for those utilities, either directly with the utility company or through a third-party billing service like RUBS. RHA will pay the HAP and you will pay your portion directly to the landlord. At the end of your lease, you and your landlord can choose to renew for another year, go month to month, or you can look for a new unit. Let's go over your voucher obligations. These are your responsibilities within the voucher program. Failure to abide by these rules can result in the termination of your housing assistance. Do supply required information. This means reporting any changes to your household within 30 days of the date the changes happened. This also means responding promptly when RHA asks you for additional information. Do allow RHA to inspect your unit with reasonable notice and at reasonable times. Do give RHA at least 30 days notice before moving out or terminating your lease. It takes time to reactivate your voucher and issue all the necessary paperwork, and we want to make sure we do this well in advance of your move-out date. Do give RHA a copy of any eviction notice received. We are not a party to your lease, so we cannot directly stop the eviction process. However, we can communicate with the landlord to ensure all payments have been received, make sure they understand the requirements of the HAP contract, and refer you for legal service assistance if necessary. Do use the unit as your only residence. RHA is paying assistance for your entire household to live at this unit, so you cannot live anywhere else without transferring your assistance. Do receive approval before adding new household members and notify RHA promptly if anyone moves out. RHA must give you written approval before anyone moves into your unit, and if someone moves out, RHA will need to reevaluate your household income and voucher size. And do receive approval to be away from your unit for more than 30 days. The RHA is paying assistance on your unit based on the household members living there, and if someone is going to be out of the unit for more than 30 days, it's important we know about it. Do not damage the unit or premises or allow others to damage it. Do not violate the terms of your lease. Do not allow unapproved people to live in the unit or receive mail at your address. HUD considers someone receiving mail at an address as proof they live there, so allowing someone to use your address for mail could look like you have unauthorized occupants living with you. Do not sublease your unit. Remember, RHA must approve all persons living in your unit before they move in. Do not lease a unit you or your family have any ownership of. Do not commit fraud, bribery, or other corrupt criminal activities. Do not engage in violent criminal activity or use illicit substances, and do not receive other housing subsidies while on the HCV program. Remember, violating any of these voucher obligations may result in the termination of your housing assistance, so it's important you understand them. Your responsibilities under the voucher program include abiding by those voucher family obligations as well as your lease, finding suitable housing that meets the needs of your family, paying rent according to your lease and RHA notices, taking care of your unit and reporting maintenance issues timely, and abiding by the requirements of your VA case management. The landlord or owner responsibilities under the voucher program include screening families and determining their suitability as renters. Landlords are not required to accept voucher assistance. Landlords are also allowed to follow their regular tenant selection criteria and screening practices that they use on all other tenants. Complying with fair housing laws and the HAP contract with RHA. Collecting your portion of the rent, security deposit, and any charges for damages to the unit. Not collecting side payments from you or charging more than approved by RHA, with the exception of services or fees that are not covered by RHA, such as pet rent, cable, internet, etc. Making repairs to the unit, and enforcing the lease. RHA's responsibilities include determining your eligibility for the voucher program, explaining the voucher program and your responsibilities, inspecting your selected unit and ensuring the requested rent is reasonable and affordable, calculating the housing assistance payment and your portion of the rent, paying housing assistance to the landlord, and ensuring the family and the landlord are following voucher program rules. RHA's jurisdiction, or the area you can use your voucher, includes all of Washoe County. Within Washoe County, different zip codes have different payment standards, so pay attention when you're shopping for a unit. Outside of Washoe County, the other public housing authorities are Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority, serving Clark County, and Nevada Rural Housing Authority, serving all other counties. If you'd like to use your voucher outside of RHA's jurisdiction, that's something called portability, which we'll go over in a minute. Here are some things to consider when looking for a unit. Consider the neighborhood. Is it safe? What are the surrounding schools? Is there available transportation? How close is it to your job or job opportunities? And how close is it to the VA hospital? What costs are there? What utilities will you be responsible for? What other fees will you be responsible for that are not covered by RHA, such as renter's insurance, cable, internet, community fees, smart home fees, etc.? What is the general condition of the unit or complex? Is the unit well taken care of? Will it pass the inspection? There are advantages to renting a unit in a low-poverty area. Areas of low poverty offer benefits to residents, including increased mental and physical health outcomes, increased likelihood of finding employment, increased likelihood of having higher income, higher test scores in schools for children, and children are more likely to enroll in college. The shaded areas on the map represent high poverty areas. You are not prevented from renting in these areas. The map is just provided for you to make the best informed decision for your family. Let's talk about portability. Having a HUD VASH voucher allows you to maintain your housing assistance while moving anywhere in the U.S. that has a PHA with a HUD VASH program, an available VASH voucher, and available VA case management. That's known as portability. To be eligible to port out or leave RHA's jurisdiction, you must be a Washoe County resident when you receive your voucher, or live in Washoe County for 12 months before being eligible to move out. Other PHAs may have different requirements or rules, including what size voucher you are eligible for and rescreening you for eligibility. It is recommended to reach out to the PHA you are choosing to port to regarding their rules. Please contact our leasing agent before beginning the portability process. If you or your household contains a person with disabilities, you may be entitled to a reasonable accommodation. A reasonable accommodation is a change, exception, or adjustment that may be necessary for a person with disabilities. This accommodation is provided to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity to use and enjoy their unit, common and public spaces included, as well as to fulfill the program requirements. Reasonable accommodations for program-related policies, such as a larger voucher due to medical equipment or needing separate sleeping areas, are available through RHA. Reasonable accommodations for unit-related items, such as grab bars and parking spaces, are available through your landlord. Reasonable accommodations are available to people with a disability. There must be a nexus or connection between the requested accommodation and the disability. RHA will verify the need for the requested accommodation with a qualified professional of your choosing who must have knowledge of you and your disability. If you feel you need a reasonable accommodation, please contact your housing specialist to discuss and complete the necessary forms. Let's go over some frequently asked questions. If the rent and utilities are more than what my voucher is worth, can I pay the extra? No. HUD states you cannot pay more than 40% of your monthly adjusted income for rent plus utilities at the initial lease-up. Paying more in a side deal with your landlord may cause you to lose your voucher. When can I sign the lease? After the unit passes inspection and the rent is determined reasonable for the area and affordable for your household, RHA will notify your landlord that you are approved to sign the lease. Can I rent a larger unit than my voucher is for? Yes, as long as the rent and utilities are less than your budget. Your voucher size does not limit the size of unit you can rent, but it does limit the amount of rent RHA can cover for your household. Please note that landlords may be willing to lower the rent for a larger unit to allow you to move in, but when the lease expires and they request a contract rent increase, they often increase the rent to the going rate for the unit size, meaning you may experience a significant increase in your portion of the rent. It is up to you to decide if you are willing to pay the increased portion or if you need to move to a more affordable unit. What if I decide to rent a smaller unit than my voucher is for? Your budget will decrease based on the payment standard for that unit size. You will need to contact the leasing agent for updated budgets. What if I'm responsible for utilities? All utilities that are listed as your responsibility in the lease and HAP contract are your responsibility to pay. Can my utilities be in someone else's name? No. Utilities must be in your name directly or someone in the household. Review your lease carefully. Will I ever be responsible for paying more than 40% of my adjusted income in rent? Yes, if at lease renewal the rent is raised above the payment standard for your voucher size, you will be responsible for the difference if you decide to stay in the unit. What happens if my income goes down after move-in? Your portion of the rent is based on your household's income. If your income goes down, please report changes to your housing specialist with an update form. Please note that if you chose to rent a unit at the top of your budget, you may still end up with a portion of rent even after all income has been removed. RHA can only pay up to the payment standard amount, so if your rent exceeds that, you will be responsible for the difference. What happens if I have no income and I'm responsible for utilities? RHA will issue you a utility reimbursement payment, or ERP, based on our utility allowance schedule, which may or may not cover your utility bill, depending on your usage. Please note that this is exclusive to the HUD VASH program and would not apply for HCVs. That's pretty much it. After completion of this video, please click on the link to download your briefing handbook and Section 3 employment brochure. The briefing handbook contains a lot of important information you may want to refer back to in the future, and the brochure explains what Section 3 employment is. If you're interested in learning a construction trade or have experience in a trade, you can email section3@renoha.org to be notified of employment opportunities. Please also click the link to download and complete the additional form to opt into our notification system, Nixle. This form can be returned to our office at any time. The briefing handbook and Section 3 employment brochure are yours to keep. You will then be prompted to sign several forms, including your emergency contact form and voucher. These will automatically be submitted to RHA upon completion of your briefing. Finally, Please make sure to check out the documents we've uploaded to your Rent Cafe portal, including your family summary and voucher summary. The family summary shows the household member and income information on file. By submitting a RIFTA, you are certifying the information is correct, so if you see any errors, you must notify our office immediately. Failure to notify RHA of incorrect income or household composition may result in the loss of your housing assistance. The voucher summary shows important information about your voucher, including the issuance and expiration dates and the number of bedrooms. You'll also find our utility allowances and payment standards, and most importantly, your budget for shopping for a unit. Remember, the rent the landlord is asking plus the utility allowance based on structure type, unit size, and which utilities you'll be responsible for must not exceed the budget listed. Before you go, here's a few last things I want to make sure to point out. Make sure you know your voucher expiration date. Extensions can take time and aren't guaranteed, so don't wait until the last minute to submit a request. Unless it is part of an approved reasonable accommodation, you cannot rent from a family member. Family members are considered the parent, child, grandparent, grandchild, sister, or brother of any member of the household. Information on the lease-up process, maintaining your assistance, and other important topics can be found online in our video resource library at www.renoha.org. Information on RHA's resident services programs can be found at www.renoha.org/for-residents. Check to see if any of RHA's programs could be a fit for you. Thank you for taking the time to complete your voucher briefing. We are so excited to begin assisting you. We are here to help you throughout this process. Please reach out to us at the contact information below if you have any questions or concerns. Good luck searching for your new unit, and welcome home.